Little jingle.
The jingle's playing, guys. I don't know what the
I don't
jingle
know how
is.
it goes.
No, I don't either. But it is playing. This is the Film Production Podcast. This is episode 4. I'm here with 3 first years.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I am. We're with Aidan.
That's me.
We're with Hayimeana
Yes.
and Jen.
Oh, yeah.
So today, I'm not like super sure what you guys. I know there's some few things that you guys are pretty fiery to talk about, but like, do we want to start off with the classic like, where have you come from? What's your name? Where have you been? Why you're here? That sort of like, you know, the
Sounds
generic
Sure,
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Left to right from my side.
Yes.
Sure, yeah. Is that me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jen, yeah.
Let's go
So,
for it.
I am Jen Hanks. I've come from Doncaster, which don't ask me what side of Yorkshire is because I get it wrong every time. And I did film studies, media studies, and English language at college, and now I'm doing film studies rather than film production.
That's
Um,
fine.
yep.
Everyone's allowed here. This is
This is
a
open
safe
space.
Thank
It's an
you.
open, safe space.
Means a
Yeah.
lot.
My name is Hayimeana. I'm from North Wales. I did English literature, law, and media at A-level, and now I'm doing film production here.
Good choice. Yeah.
And I am Aidan. I am from Nottingham, where Robin Hood comes from. And I did politics, sociology, and history. So absolutely
Wow.
nothing to do with film. And then I decided to change my mind and come here to do film because all of that is boring.
Yeah, it is. And film is exciting, right, guys?
Yeah.
You all really
Yeah.
like film, and that's why we're
Of
here.
course.
Yeah, of course. So, being in first year, how was your, what's it like? Introduced to the course. We're pretty deep into it now. You've sort of committed, most of your time
We've come so far.
from this, from semester 1 and like from last year already. So,
First year, for me at least, been going all right at the moment. I had a little bit of a rough start just because, like, the dynamic of the course and only being in, like, 3 days a week and, like, obviously moving away from home and
yes.
that was a bit of a bumpy ride to begin with. But now I feel like I've settled and course is going fine. I'm quite enjoying it at the
New
moment.
project on the way.
Yep.
It's all going.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah.
No, I'm the same. You start off, like I said, from those courses that I've come from. So when you come from 3 heavy essay subjects into a film, it does
Yeah.
feel like a lot less work.
Yeah.
But the further you get into it and you get more and more documents and more modules, and it's like, there
Don't
is
worry.
work to do
Don't
now.
worry, it gets hard. It only gets harder from
Yeah.
first
Okay.
year. Yeah, it
Yeah.
only gets worse, to be honest. Yeah, but at least you sort of, it's not too bad
But no,
yet.
I enjoyed the
chill.
last film we did. And the film we're doing now, I'm excited by, and I'm looking forward to doing that one. And of course, that's just one of the modules. We've got
Cool.
film theory and whatever the other one is as well.
Sounds interesting.
Producing and directing, that's it. That's the
Producing,
one.
directing.
So that one, I like that one. But yeah, it's all going now.
It's all going.
all
Excellent.
going.
And then, how's film
Good
studies
grammar
been? Bit different?
Very different, yeah. So our course is 100% theory, which is very heavy, but I like essay writing. Like, I can write quite fast, which is good.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's very heavy. It's a very heavy course, but I'm enjoying it. It's a
Yeah.
lot different to A level. And you didn't even do film, did you,
No,
Aidan? No.
no.
But yeah, it's
I
quite
did a lot of
different.
essays, but I didn't do film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different to film and media, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, you guys, you're doing your film at the moment,
Yeah.
which is interesting. So what's give us like a basic scope maybe? Are you in the same group or?
We are in the same group.
Whoa.
We're also in a cult, apparently.
And yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
My honourable colleague here.
Yeah. So what's your film? Give us a little
I
give us
don't
a
know
little
how to-
rundown. Logline.
Putting it into a synopsis is probably the
Yeah,
hardest
I'm
thing
gonna
we've got
hand-
about the
yeah.
film. But essentially, we're doing
You need
it's a two-part thing. We've got a homage to 1930s horror films.
Wait, okay, this is going to sound really weird, but I was sat behind you guys while you were talking about it, like in a booth. Did you talk about it with Janan?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh my god, I actually was. Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
you were
sorry,
there-
this is
you were
really
there on
weird.
that day.
I was like, whoa, this group sounds heavy. Like,
But yeah, so that's us. We're doing a
that's us.
1930s horror homage because I love them films, and why not?
Yeah.
So we've got that, and then we will begin on that sort of theming of, your classic plot of an evil professor and all this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then we come out of that, and then we are revealed to be it's actually a modern film crew making this film as if it were from that time, because really they're all part of a cult, as we mentioned earlier, and they are trying to make the cult look legitimate by being going on for this how many years, and then they use it as a front to cover their evil ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's dark.
So there's a film within a film.
It's dark and it's confusing.
How long do you guys get for this film?
7 minutes.
7 minutes?
Yeah,
and you're going to
7
try and do
minutes.
all of that in 7
Oh,
minutes?
it's absolutely. We can do it.
Our motto is literally
Ambitious but achievable. Yeah, Aarif said it's like a third-year pitch.
Yeah, that's
But
heavy. That's actually heavier than a lot of the third-year pitches, I'm
But
going to be
it's-
honest.
It's just something, because I thought I want to make a film that I'm actively enjoying and something I really want to be doing. So it's something I thought, let's do this now while I've got the chance. And we can fit it into 7 minutes. The script is in 7 minutes, and everything we've storyboard and everything works. It's just when you try to explain it to people, it sounds like, wow, it sounds like a feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could easily make it into a feature, but like Aidan said, the group focus was very much, as long as we enjoy what we're doing, we believe that we will somehow pull this off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Wow, that's yeah, wow. I remember overhearing a bit of this conversation because I was doing some work and I was like, damn, I don't know how they're going to do this. To be honest.
That's us. So that was our group you overheard there
That's pretty good.
in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, it was an exciting discussion.
That's one way to put it.
Did you guys, just to sort of tie this together a little bit, did you guys enjoy film theory at all?
I love it.
You love film theory?
I do. Because I didn't do film in A-level, I did media. It was a little bit more theory than it was practical. But I'm also quite essay-based because I did English Lit and law as well. So the whole analysis aspect, learning different perspectives, trying to apply it to multiple practical aspects, so bringing both the theory and the practical together, I find really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But also I feel like it allows for a good balance in the course. Like you said, that it's very heavy.
Yeah.
Essay written, it's so much heavier than what we were describing. I feel like that for me would have been too much, but 100% practical would have been too much as well.
You got to enjoy. You got to have a nice balance.
I'm pretty happy with where we are at. Yeah.
Yeah. It does. It is sort of like that. You do get to sort of pick and choose, where you're going to go next year as well. So that's good to hear that you're sort of interested in both elements and because the film theory is actually genuinely a very interesting part that not many people actually like. I mean, I don't know what your experience has been of it so far, but
I have enjoyed it, but it was my A-level that actually put me off doing production because I was with really bad people doing my final project. So I thought, screw it, I'll do screenplays in my own time and just do the theory course.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I do enjoy it, but I know a lot in my course particularly don't enjoy it, and some have actually dropped out from ManMet.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're wanting to do script writing as well.
I'm doing that as a hobby, but I'm actually wanting to teach film theory.
Okay, that's interesting actually, because a lot of people sort of do struggle with script writing on our side of the course. I find, at least people I know anyway, I struggle with script writing because it is a very difficult, and if you can really find, your rhythm with that, then maybe you should talk to some of the people from film production. There's some here. They are the future of this course. So, working together with someone. You
That's
are.
a heavy burden to bear.
Yeah, exactly. So, you guys, you're going to be making third-year films. Not
Right now,
soon,
apparently.
yeah, apparently right now. And if you manage to pull it off, it's only going to get more ambitious. So, maybe
we'll be making
think about
sci-fi
that.
epics by third year.
We'll see Aidan's
Green
name
screen.
on Star Wars 77.
we are actually doing a sci-fi for our second year film at the
cool.
moment. It is going to be a pain in the ass. We're building a set in our garden.
You're building a set for it.
Yes,
Wow.
we have all the bits. That shockingly wasn't the hardest bit
What's
to
the
get.
set?
Really?
What is the set? A spaceship or something?
It is a
It's a
spaceship.
spaceship
Yeah,
in a
it's
Why do you have a
garden.
spaceship?
It's an escape pod, so we're
Wow.
working on that. We are we've managed to get everything for free so far. So fingers crossed we can finish the film for free, basically. Yeah, that's a good challenge.
Who's building it?
We are.
Who's we?
My group, me and my group.
So you're literally.
Are you trained
getting the
carpenters?
tools. Yeah.
No, we are not trained carpenters, and we're going to try and make sure it doesn't fall on anyone and kill anyone. So
That's always a good
Fingers
start.
crossed. Yeah,
Yes.
good start, really. Yeah.
I bet
anyway,
your risk assessment is
Yeah,
a
I was literally
nightmare.
about to say that. Yeah.
we've sort of skimmed over that a little bit.
Okay, we'll edit that bit out.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go back a bit more to you guys. I don't want to really talk about myself because I don't like that. I'd rather speak to you guys about
We'll
stuff.
just turn it into the Charlie hour and
No,
turn
no,
it back on yourself.
no, God, no. So, what I would like to know, like, what you guys have actually learnt so far that you found the most useful aspects of your courses in particular. Like, what has been like a bit like a wow, that was something I didn't know before, and it's sort of changed.
I think there's just if you're someone like me who's come from doing nothing to do related with film at all, so politics and stuff like that, I think the course is good for learning what you want to do. So it's like any roles that I've not considered about doing before. It's good for knowing. Oh, let's have a go at that. That's what's the word? That's it's good to learn those things as you're going along. So it's like before starting the course, screenwriting was where I was most interested. But then along the way, it's like I've picked up on sound and first AD and stuff like these roles. It's like things I wouldn't have considered before.
Mm-hmm.
So the course is good for getting people on the same page, whether you've done short films before or if you've never even touched that sort of stuff before. It is good for teaching you, here's some roles that you have to do, have a go at them, see what you like, and let's just get everybody on the same page, especially in the first trimester. That was the case.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. It was, I kind of came at this from a writer-director perspective because I've known that's what I want to do for a while. But I never really considered anything else before. That's why I was so fixated on doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is still my ultimate goal. But like Aidan said, we're learning about first ADing, and I'd never considered that before. Like I literally knew the absolute bare minimum about what a first AD is. And now I'm thinking, well, that seems like that could be quite fulfilling as a career. Like I'd be happy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what is first ADing?
So first AD,
There you are.
glad you asked.
Here's the educational bit for all the children listening.
First assistant, Charlie, do you want to take this?
No.
This is
You're
not the
doing
Charlie hour.
Hey,
Come on.
you're doing the producing and directing course. This is your guys' time to shine.
So first AD, first assistant director. Essentially, the director that you'd hear about most on set is the creative aspect of the project.
Right.
They will have the creative vision. The first AD is more logistical. So they will be in constant communication with every head of department. They will know the details of everything going on constantly, and they will ensure that everything is running smoothly.
It's like a right-hand man sort of thing.
Yeah, basically. They call action. Do they call cut? I know they call action.
Yes, I think they do.
So, yeah, they're kind of essentially the middleman between the producer and the director, between
Right.
the logistics and the finances and the creativity. They are the balance in between.
So what
It's
does
a hell of a
what does
job.
the second AD do then?
I don't know. Aidan, what does the second AD do?
I don't know. Oh, there's nobody there. Well, they handle the extras and stuff, don't they?
No.
No, they don't. Is
that the
third?
third
That's the
AD?
third
That's
AD.
third.
The second
We've only
AD.
just started this module,
Oh,
all
okay,
right?
that's there.
Okay, the second AD is the call sheets.
third.
So
Alright.
they
Call
literally
sheets, there we
all
go.
they do is call sheets every day, all day. Call sheets. That's all.
Call
they do.
sheets.
Sounds great.
Call
Yeah,
sheets.
it's not great. Don't be a second AD. Well, you might have to be a second AD one day if you want to.
Yeah.
If
go
you're
up
working
that
your way
rank.
up, I suppose.
Yeah. But yeah. Have you got Stephen teaching you guys?
No,
Or-
we've got Simon Powell, industry specialist.
Okay. Yeah. We had Stephen last year. That was a wild ride. I tell you. It was
Yeah, we had him for 1 hour.
Yeah, it
well,
was
Well,
great.
not 1 hour, 2 hours for one session, and it was banter central.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say.
Stephen Murphy, Banter Central.
Yeah. He's got some fresh treads though.
I've never noticed.
I did
Have
not
a look.
notice. I was sat at the back. I
Oh.
could not see this.
With film studies
Yeah.
in film theory, sort of like what sort of like, because I actually don't know the elements of film theory that you guys sort of cover. What do you actually cover?
Well, for the first semester, we did film histories and film movements, critical approaches, and what actually goes into a film, and
Mhm.
looking at critics' perspectives of them and things like that. Really.
That's interesting. So you have to write. When you're writing essays, do you have to write them from a critical point of view, like a professional critic, or is it?
Yeah, we've done that twice, I think. Like writing, this is what this critic thinks of. Do you agree with that? Why?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
okay.
yeah, so not as if we're the critic, but agreeing or disagreeing with
Hmm.
famous critics.
What's sort of like the end goal of being within? So like you get into your third year, Do you know where you're going with the course? Is it pretty
No.
well directional?
Not at the minute. I'm just sort of like here and there and everywhere. But
Mhm.
I would like to go into teaching, maybe with story writing, script writing,
Mhm.
or writing reviews.
Yeah.
Like maybe a side thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, my end goal is to teach.
That's fair. That's nice actually, because there's not enough. Feel like, people quite overlook the film theory aspect a lot. I think sometimes, and can be the difference between like a good film and a bad film. Sometimes is the theory, like, has it been applied correctly? Almost. I mean, I don't know how you guys have found your first films. When you've made them, have you found it quite difficult to apply the proper theory to the film to make sure that it's like coherent and stuff, like, or
I don't know, because when we were going in, we didn't want to go for a full PSA preachy message thing, but we tried to have it say something. It's just more times I watch it, the more plot holes I find with it. I think things don't make sense. But I suppose I'm not overly keen on the film theory side of it, so I suppose other people in my group might have been considering it, but I wasn't especially. I don't know if you were the same in your group, because we weren't in the same group last trimester.
So last trimester, I honestly didn't even consider film theory when actually making the film. But in hindsight, I wish I had. I feel like it could have added a lot more kind of flavour, a bit more personality, a bit more character to the film. But maybe that's something to consider.
Yeah,
this
definitely.
time.
I mean, definitely like keep in contact with the film theory students as well. The people who are actually writing about it all the time. I'm just saying, because you can send them script drafts, whatever, and say, do you know where this is going? Do you know like what the idea is behind this? What's the message behind this? And if they can tell you, someone who's never seen it before, then your film is going in the right direction, kind of thing. There's a book, Save the Cat. I don't know if any of you have read it. It's about.
I've heard of it.
I have not.
It's about script writing. It's very simple, like a very simplified book.
What's it called?
I'd write Save the Cat.
Save the Cat.
I can't remember the dude's name now. He's
What a
very
random
famous.
title.
Yeah, well, it's about, the idea is that if you have a character scene being nice to an animal at the beginning of your film, that is a nice person.
Oh yeah,
It's
same as if you see
Oh.
a gun at the beginning of the film, it has to be fired later
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's like
Iconography and association type
yeah,
thing.
basically, yeah. And it is a genuinely very interesting read, and it's very much gets down to, if you can't say your film in a log line, it is not a good film. I'm not saying your film is a bad film, but I'm just saying, think about your log line before you go into it and be like, where is this going? Where, like, what is the base idea of this film, and move forward with that. I heard along the grapevine that we're talking about Netflix as well, in particular today.
That's what we were told. Netflix versus cinema.
Sorry that it's taken so long to get here, but
It's
we
fine.
need a bit of filler for the beginning, really, just to meaty
Introduce
things up a little bit.
ourselves.
Yeah, get a little bit of a bit of backstory.
Can we talk about Amazon Prime as well? Because I watch that more than Netflix.
That's fine. It's more.
Other
I think it's
streaming
more to do
services
with
are
streaming
available.
services. Yeah, it's more to do with like the
Yeah.
streaming services in
Yes.
general, and like, are they killing cinema? Are they killing modern cinema? Is Netflix destroying our very essence of film?
Yes.
I think it depends what you want to ask. If you said if it's killing, I don't know if it's killing or which is more interesting.
I feel it's more
is the better
forcing
question.
to adapt than it is
killing.
killing.
Yeah.
But I can't say that cinema is adapting, because crap, really got myself into this one, haven't I? You're
Go on.
staring right at me. Because like I thought of it when I was thinking about this. I thought of it from kind of a financial industry perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's $8.99 a month for standard subscription to Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
$11.99 if you want 4 people Ultra HD viewing, if it's available.
Yeah.
A membership for Limitless with Odeon is $17.99 per month, and it's £20 if you're in central London.
Ooh.
So had we, God forbid, gone down to London to study film,
Oh, good Lord.
instead of come to the beautiful sunny Manchester,
Hey, I live here.
would be. I mean, so do we now.
Ah.
It would have been so much more expensive. And I mean, like I said, I'm from North Wales. Cinema wasn't readily available to me. I would
Mhm.
literally have to drive about an hour and a half to get to a decent cinema. But yeah, I don't know if cinema will be dead, but I feel like if the large chains don't start adapting soon, they may not be able to compete. Genuinely, I think they may not be able to compete.
You think cinemas are going to start closing down?
I think even if
they'll
they don't
less.
close down, I think standards may decline, but prices may skyrocket. And they are currently, in my opinion, some places extortionate. Like, we're quite lucky with Printworks and the Lowry and stuff here, but everywhere else you don't really have that. So if you're paying for the same thing that you could have at home, then does the experience of making a day out of it and like going with your friends and that kind of thing, does it compete enough to justify it?
Yes. I would say I'm not necessarily agreeing. I'm not necessarily
Devil's
I'm not-
advocate.
yeah,
That was a good answer.
Fair enough.
it was a very good answer, and it makes perfect sense. But I'm just saying that I feel like the cinema won't die just because of the experience you get. You cannot get that at home unless you spend thousands and thousands of pounds on big projectors or big TV or whatever. Like, you're not going to get that at home. You are not going to get a screen the size of 1,000 people at home. You are never going to have that experience of true surround sound.
Can I interject?
7.1. Yeah.
So
Go
I've
ahead.
actually bought a little projector from eBay, so I do have the projector aspect of it.
You don't have the surround sound,
And a
though.
very big wall.
Not the point. I've got the projector.
The thing about that is, do people value that? I absolutely agree with
Yes.
you,
Yeah.
because I quite like going to the cinema.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a day of it and go with my mates and have the reclining seats and the popcorn.
Yeah.
I just don't want to spend my student loan on going to the cinema once
Oh.
and then starving for a couple of weeks.
Honestly, I've been to cinema a couple of times recently, and every penny I've spent there, I have loved. But I've only gone to see good films, to be honest.
Mm.
I'm making sure that the films I'm going to see are worth
Yeah,
worth the time almost.
Yeah, of course.
But you
I
know,
think you've also got to say though, like, will studios stop releasing films to cinemas? Because that's absolutely not going to happen.
no,
that's
no,
true.
It's like-
no
true.
way.
If you think of your big blockbuster Marvels and your Star Wars and stuff, are they going to start releasing to Disney Plus? I know they've got series on Disney Plus, but they're not going to start releasing their feature films to
No.
Disney Plus. So they'll always
Certain-
go for the cinema.
Yeah, there's certain standards you expect.
Well, they wouldn't
from it.
make as
Of
much
course.
money if they went straight there anyway, as opposed
No,
to cinema.
exactly. So it's like
Mm.
cinema, although streaming services might be easier to access, and they, whatever you might have more interesting films, or whatever. But if you're going from a business perspective, releasing films to cinema is more economically viable.
Mm.
Yeah, because I agree, but there's the quality expectation. But at the same time, like Charlie said about going to see films that you're going to like,
Mm.
well, with Netflix, you can find films you're going to like, you think you're going to like, and if you don't like it, you can switch it off and go somewhere
Yeah.
else. It's more difficult to
Or you
walk out
can-
of a cinema. As much as I'd love to be able to sit here and say, like, cinema is absolutely worth it and it can compete with Netflix in X, Y, and Z aspects, I think, although there is potentially a balanced argument, I just don't think that right now the argument extends that far.
Mm. Jen said an immediate no. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like,
but that was before her answer, so.
but I still want to hear what your opinion was. So pretend she's not said any of that. I know it might be hard
Alright,
now,
take a
but
step
like
back.
Just forget it.
So I thought I thought cinema was gonna die out because of so many people using Netflix and Prime and totally legal streaming sites now. But I mean, like you said, you can't get the full experience unless you go to the cinema.
Mm.
So I take back my yes.
But do you? I mean, if you think about it, have you ever there's only a few times when I've been to the cinema and it has been completely dead. I think I've been once.
I enjoy it more because you don't have people
Oh,
rustling
yeah.
popcorn.
Stay,
You don't have,
stay till the end of the credits.
yeah, and you can always have people talking. But I like an empty cinema.
Oh, I like the atmosphere.
Quite like
that-
moving seats if you don't like where you are.
Yeah.
I'll just nip down there.
Oh, the nice seats in front. Oh, I'll have those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to places with
Recline.
recliners and the seats in
Mm.
front haven't reclined, I just go on the row in front and recline them all so I can actually see the screen. I've done that quite a few times.
Life hacks. Life hacks. Right.
The thing with streaming
Though I've never
sites-
left a cinema. I've never got up and left a
No,
film.
I haven't. My mum did with Matrix once. Well, I say once. When
I
it
know
came
people
out.
that did with the most recent Pirates of the Caribbean. They said, I'm not a fan of this, and they just
That's
got up and
good.
left. But I liked it.
But no, the thing with Amazon Prime and Netflix, there's only so much you can watch before you start repeating yourself anyway. But with
Mm.
cinema, there's a new thing at least every week, if not every few weeks or so. But you will end up repeating yourself if you just watch Netflix or Prime or anything else.
I think at this point, it's swaying towards the cinema experience is great and we all love it, but
streaming services have more interesting things.
As film students, whether it's film production or film studies, you could argue that we're biased anyway. We may value that experience, but do enough other people outside of wanting to be in the industry or contributing to making their own films or other people's films, do they value it enough to continue that experience?
The cinema experience?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I always see people who are not in, the Marvel films is a good example, really. There's so many of those people that don't care about the industry. They just want to go see their favourite characters on screen, blah, 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 whatever. And that's fine, If you like that, cool, go do it and go to the cinema. But I don't think cinema's ever going to die, to be honest. I don't think it will ever go anywhere. I think it's always going to be, you're paying for the experience. You're going with your friends. You're watching the film together. You can hear the audience react to things, You don't get, like, at home, okay, fair enough, you can chat and, like, but it's different when there's a whole audience of people laughing or crying because there's a really emotional scene. You're not going to get that at home.
That one's always awkward, isn't it? Especially if you're watching a 3D film, take the glasses off, wipe a tear, look around. Has anybody else got their glasses off?
Yeah.
Getting
that's
throwbacks to Endgame now.
I was just thinking of that.
Tony Stark.
Don't.
I don't like Marvel films, but
I
that's
don't like
a
you.
conversation
I'm
for another
going to
day.
leave.
We don't like you.
That's fine. I have good opinions, but I don't know if you want to talk about them now, but we can do if you like, because it's still part of the sort of cinematic world, and I'm very glad they're gone, almost.
Wow.
Really?
Phase 4 is beginning. DC seem to be getting their act together.
And everyone's going to really go back to the cinema and sweat over the new
Absolutely.
films coming out
Not to
again.
the same extent.
No,
I don't
they
think it's
will.
ever going to be like that ever again.
I don't think other people might.
No, I do love these films, but even I'm getting superhero fatigue, as they call it. It's just like, I do think after Endgame, I don't think they should have ended the films, but I think at least take a couple of years out to follow it up with.
Did it tie it nicely?
Well, it wasn't a nice ending, but it finished the whole saga.
Again, industry, it all comes back to money. It's Disney owns Marvel. Disney is becoming everywhere. I've got to be careful what I say now.
I definitely
Disney is
didn't sign up
everywhere.
for Disney Plus last night.
Oh, God.
Well,
I actually
feel like
work for
I
Disney,
might.
so after this, you guys are going to prison directly.
I've signed up. I've given them my money. I bow down to the corporate overlords.
I've given my childhood. Does that count?
Oh.
But yeah, I feel like in terms of franchise films, now that I can only speak for Marvel because I'm not a massive DC fan. Please don't come for me in the comments.
Well, Marvel is supposed to be buying DC.
No way.
Yeah, because
I didn't
DC
know
are
that.
going to shut.
Just the films or the actual
I think
comic
I think it's
series
the
as well?
comics because DC are apparently liquidating their comics and stopping to publish
Wow.
them. So Marvel said,
We'll have
"We'll
them.
we'll buy that," but nothing's set in stone yet. So this section of this podcast could age really badly.
Well, you don't know. Maybe they'll go somewhere else. But I can see Disney swiping up another company very
Oh,
easily.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Universal.
cinema's not going to
watch
die.
out.
Disney's going to kill it, if anything.
Can we have a round of applause for that one?
Well, I think
Just saying.
probably in a few years we'll stop saying, "Do you want to go to the cinema?" It'll probably be, "Do you want to go to the Disney?" I think eventually.
Yeah, you'll just be
The
going
Disney.
to
Again,
see-
I do bow down to the corporate overlords.
Yes, we all do. Please don't blacklist us. We need jobs.
Is that not more of a shame, though, that a company is
100%.
sucking up everything? And
100%.
I mean, do you think Netflix is doing that? Or because Disney will probably buy Netflix if Netflix ever runs out of money.
I feel like in Netflix, the indie aspect of it currently is stopping that because I can only speak from my own experience. The one feature-length film that I have worked on has the same charity that's creating that has made one of their films, their previous film that I didn't work on, go to Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And I have worked with somebody else in college during my A-levels. His film also went to Netflix. Given it was the American version, we don't have it in the UK.
Yeah.
But the indie aspect, the support there is, I think Netflix is a good platform for that. But if that was taken away, I think Disney would be more interested in, is this what this podcast has become? Disney would be more interested in sweeping that up.
Mhm.
I think at the moment, large corporations like that might want to take a step away, not because they particularly value the independent aspect of film, but more because they don't know how to deal with it because it is independent. It's not the same as having these massive studios that they can be in cahoots with, or I'm not saying that's what's happening, but that they can negotiate with, because that's just not how independent film works. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't want that to go away.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Oh.
No, that's fair. No, there's nothing wrong with what you've said. I'm just, it is a complicated debate because there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that we don't know of, and is it more to do with the money and stuff, or is it to do with is film still like a exciting new thing? Because film is only about 100 years old, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and it's been really messing my head up pretty hard, how film is not really as old as it should be. Really, it's come a long way, but it's not really changed since the 60s, since sort of Hollywood started. Really, it's not really that many alternatives.
But would you not say the rise of streaming services is changing that?
It is to a degree, yeah. You've got things like Bandersnatch, for example. That's more like a game film. I don't know if that counts.
I think
It's
that's
not
just
the best example.
That's one of the things, though. That's I had this here. It's about Netflix can do things that cinema can't, and it's like.
Yeah, it's got interactive aspects though, because you had that Spy Kids film a few years ago with the scratch cards and stuff.
But you're not actively changing the direction of the film as you are if you're watching something
on a streaming service.
on a streaming service where you can change it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Cinema, obviously it's a global thing, but largely studios tend to cater films for certain audiences. So even with Star Wars, they cut out a load of Force ghosts from it, because the Chinese audience don't like ghosts in films. So it's they have to cater these films to certain particular audiences. Where I was going to say that with streaming services, because it reaches people into their homes and they don't have to necessarily censor these certain things, you can get more interesting and experimental aspects. Not necessarily in the narrative, but an example I had was for Sex Education, which is a TV show, obviously, rather than a film. But it's in that you've got British students in a highly American school, and they're wearing clothes that are very vintage, and it's you've got this British show, but Americans can relate to it because it's in the sort of school of their style, but British people can relate to it because it's of their style, and they're not necessarily they're not catering it to a particular audience.
Apart from British people.
And
English in general. English speakers.
The Western audience, yes.
Yeah,
but
it wouldn't translate in the East, I don't think, as much.
I don't know.
I mean, Netflix already is bound by regions, is it not?
It
and
is.
Each region has different things on it.
Mm.
I bet if you go to Saudi Arabian Netflix, they probably wouldn't have Sex Education on there.
No, not necessarily.
I don't think.
I think, but
nothing
for general
against
general
Saudi Arabia,
Western
but
audiences, though, I think it's a thing that crosses national borders. I know people in Sweden who really like it because there's a Swedish actor in it.
Still the West.
That was my point.
Yeah, but
it transcends the West rather than being, because you get a lot of British films that are very British and they don't translate in America. But if you stick in American high school and sort of vintage clothing and stuff, and it can translate over there.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I think you can get away with that more on streaming services than you can with cinema.
Yeah, you reckon?
Because I don't know if would American audiences want to, go out
and
specifically
to
to watch it, or would they just be like, oh, what's this quirky British show? Let's put this on. Oh, it's in an American high school-ish. I can relate to this.
Anglophiles
Do you know where that was
everywhere.
filmed?
Wales.
It was filmed in Wales,
Yes.
yeah, very good. Bit of trivia.
Big up Wales.
South
Yeah.
Wales, though, wasn't it?
I think it
Oh.
might have been in South Wales. It's very interesting, though, because it does look like America. All the scenery shots do look a bit more like
And they've all
America.
got, lockers in the corridors and stuff. And even watching that, you're like, is this supposed to be in America?
See, that's really interesting because I think, the regional thing that you were talking about with Netflix being different in the countries it is available in, I think that's more a government regulation than it does reflect the people. And obviously there's a correlation there.
Mm.
But I recently watched an interview with the Sex Education cast, and they were talking about their experiences being recognised in really obscure places, like places like in Africa where the people that were recognising them didn't have shoes on and didn't have a phone for a selfie that they asked for, but they recognised them from Sex Education. So that just makes me think maybe the people are ahead. Oh man, why am I going down this rabbit hole? Maybe the people are ahead of the government in that sense of regulation and censorship.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps there is an audience there, that would watch shows like Sex Education.
Just don't have access to
They
it.
just don't have access to
Yeah, I
it.
suppose it's not really a we don't want that show. It's more of a you can't get the
We
license
can't
for
have
that show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that film has changed? Like, would you agree that film has changed? Like,
Absolutely. Like technology adapting to fit our society's needs in cinema, but okay, it's not changed the narrative or what an audience can get out of it, because obviously back then they were surprised by the film. It's an audience reaction. We still get that now with mainstream films. So it's not changed, but it has changed. What were you gonna...
Developed.
Technology
developed.
has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You know, from sound, we didn't have sound within cinemas originally. Like you said, like piano players used to sit at the front and.
Is that the new theme tune?
Yep, that's the theme.
I was going to argue that film hasn't changed. Simply from the perspective of the Hollywood machine, so to speak.
But that was only in the 60s that the Hollywood really took its claws on the cinematic industry, do you not think?
I do think, I agree.
But
I think
Hollywood
it's been
replaced
difficult
with?
to get
Disney.
out of that. I just think there's elements of it that are so ingrained that it's difficult to change but can change. But I don't think that's necessarily means that they've come in leaps and bounds so far. I would hope that in the future it does. But for now, I don't know if Hollywood has changed. I think it's changing.
Into what?
Care to comment? Care to comment?
I put all three mics here right now. I think from the aspect of representation and audience, that's changing with the whole Me Too movement. Obviously, there's people in power that are being held accountable for the things that they've done. A lot of people
Or
in power
not,
that
in some cases.
Yeah, that haven't been held accountable. But if you compare that to where it was, like you said, in the 60s, then we're doing all right. We're doing all right. There's a clear-ish future ahead. But that's only recently started.
Is that not just only for Hollywood narrative? I mean, to bring it back to Netflix, Netflix is making these moves a lot quicker and a lot better than Hollywood ever could. Is that due to just what do you reckon that's down to? Really?
I feel like that's kind of the whole adapting and changing thing. Netflix is so much more malleable. It can change and it can be changed, but Hollywood is going to take so much longer to get to the same place. And that's what I mean about the whole adapting and developing thing. If they don't, they will simply get left behind. But I think that's why it's come so suddenly and so forcefully that Hollywood is having to change, because people aren't dealing with it. They're just not taking it anymore, because there is another option where they can go and have the same entertainment, if not the same experiences, but similar enough, where they don't have to deal with either the corporate aspect of it, where it's all legal battles and copyright battles and this, that and the other, or whether it's people in power remaining in power and taking too much power. They now have an option to not deal with that. But that doesn't mean that works 100% either, because comparatively, we're only in the early days of streaming. How do you know that, 50, 60 years from now, that's all going to come crashing down in the same or in a similar way?
How old is Netflix? Do you know?
I think it was from the 80s, isn't it?
Really?
80s? I know
It's
it started as like a DVD renting, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
I remember seeing
Was
adverts when it used
was
to
it
do
Love
that.
Film or something, or is that different?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
I think
remember
it
Love
might
Film.
be Love Film. I think it might have been
I thought it
a
was separate
subsidiary
to
of
that.
Netflix.
I seem to remember an old advert with a hamster
Shall I
in a
Google
house
that
or
as well?
something.
Hamster in a
You
house.
can
Yeah,
Google
I
it.
probably made that up.
What sort of crap are you watching?
I don't know.
Yeah, there was an offer from Blockbuster in like 2004, I think.
Oh, Blockbuster, that's a
Netflix said
throwback.
to Blockbuster, "Can you buy our streaming service? We're losing all our money. Please buy us." And they went, "Haha, no." And then Blockbuster went bust, and now Netflix is worth multi-million, like pounds, dollars, whatever you like to say. Yeah. So there you go. So it just goes to show that maybe people didn't realise that VHS tapes wouldn't always be the be-all and end-all of home movies.
I miss VHS.
I've still got some videos at home.
Yeah.
Same, I've got tons.
I bought a load the other day. Well, not bought. I took them from a man, not forcefully. He gave them to me.
This is a very out of
That's a
context
bit
Took them
dodgy.
from a
statement.
man.
Okay, moving on. Yeah, founded in August of 1997.
Wow.
Interestingly, by 2 serial entrepreneurs, not by filmmakers. There you go. There's the corporate bit of it. That's
Yeah.
the whole,
Of course it is.
the
Of course it's
financial
corporate.
aspect of it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, back then, your internet was probably dial-up, right? Was it always a streaming service?
I can't remember. I'm not that old.
No,
Well, there you go.
I
Not that
wasn't. I wasn't alive.
I was, but I don't remember because I was one.
Little.
Interesting. There you go, guys. That's a bit of Netflix history for you that none of us really know, but we were going to talk about anyway.
No.
I mean, have you seen Netflix breaking the film theory, the classic film theory at
It's
all?
not come up at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting that no one's thought about it yet. Is it?
Not in our
maybe
lessons anyway, but
Mm.
no.
Have you seen it yourself personally? In any way? You know,
Not
breaking
really, no.
conventions.
Well, is Bandersnatch
Apart
not
from
an example of
Bandersnatch,
that?
yeah. Apart from
In a way,
Bandersnatch, no.
I've not seen it, so I
It's
can't.
not that good. It was overhyped.
It wasn't very good. It was very well advertised. It wasn't amazing. It was a good example of what they can achieve using their platform.
Mm.
But apart from that, it was more like a tech demo, really. I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah.
Like a taster product, really, isn't it?
It did feel a little bit like railroaded almost, though. That you there was definitely a proper ending that you need to be getting.
How many
but,
different
like,
endings are there?
There's like 13,
I
but
think it's 12 or 13, yeah.
yeah, there's quite a few, but they're not like spoilers. One of the ending is basically you die, and that's within like the first 5 minutes if you choose the right outcomes. So you know, it's not necessarily. It's like when video games say, "Oh, we've got 1,000 different endings," but like more than half of those are like, "Oh, you died earlier than you should have.
Yeah.
Good job." Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily an ending. It's just more of a. I don't know. It was a bit disappointing, but I still enjoyed it. It was a fun little horror bit thing. Yeah. Go watch it though. The fight scene's fun.
Mm.
Did you do the fight scene one?
I think I did, yeah. It's been a year or so since I've watched it now.
Yeah. Came out a long time ago. Wow.
Has anybody watched it with every single possibility?
No.
I
Somebody
did. I
must
did
have.
all of them. We did actually pretty much. We smashed them out pretty quick. Actually, I think we.
I just kept dying every single time.
You had a
I gave
team
up.
on it.
Oh yeah. Well, no. If you're
A
gonna watch,
load of screens set
no,
up.
if you're gonna watch Bandersnatch, don't watch it on your own. It's boring. Watch it with someone else. It's so much better to argue about what
Okay.
ending you're gonna like. Oh no.
Noted.
Choose that one. He's gonna, yeah. Just do that instead because, yeah, do that because it's more fun when all of your mates are arguing over whether you should turn left or right. Do you know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure someone watched it for like a day straight and mapped out every single possibility that you could do. Like every decision.
Because they didn't have a team on it, that's why.
Probably.
Yeah. Where's your
Probably.
team, guys? Come on, watch it in your student houses together as a group tonight. That's your homework. Bam, there you go. Bandersnatch.
I'm busy
More
tonight.
homework?
I'm busy
Yeah.
We just
tonight.
complained about not having enough work.
Well, there
Why
you
did
go.
we do that?
There you go. You
Do
got
a
work
theory
from
course,
me.
you'll never complain.
Sorry,
How do you feel about accessibility and inclusivity? Either in terms of representation or physically going somewhere.
What with Netflix?
Cinema and Netflix, yeah.
You mean within like a film or just in general?
Just in general.
I mean, it's going okay, I guess. Within the cinema, you do have audio description theatres and stuff that
Mhm.
if you want to go and listen to a film being described to you, which is fine. That's good. Good on you. Go watch films even if you can't watch films. Like that's good because you're sort of listening to the film. But yeah, I like that. I think that's really good. And I think they've made steps to do that and they are including that more. Subtitles as well, subtitles in films. And you can get them especially on certain cinemas. I know you can do it online, but cinema does it as well. I don't necessarily think the online world has dominated that in any way, but yeah, it might have pioneered it a little bit. Don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, let's change that. Including people, whether in terms of representation
Within
or,
the film? Oh no, they're terrible. They're so bad.
Could you elaborate on that?
Oh well, the Oscars. We have the first international Best Picture film ever since the Oscars the Oscars started. Like, is that not insane to you? International film,
absolutely.
the first
I just
Best
wanted to see if
Picture.
it was insane to you as well.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. There's like, where are our female directors? It's not that they can't get there. It's that they're being pushed out of the industry by a lot of the bigger players. Your Tarantinos, your goddamn whoever else that's out there who are literally choking out women in films for the sake of film. So there you go. That's a little factoid for you. Don't
Yep.
abuse your actors, guys, especially directors.
And don't have a foot fetish either.
Don't
Oh,
have
Jesus.
I mean, you're allowed to have a foot fetish, but keep
Just
it
not,
to yourself.
Just not
Yeah.
on camera.
Yeah, I just think.
But what do you think in terms of Netflix? Because we've already said that about like audience expectation and kind of that kind of thing. Like you won't walk out of a cinema, but you will switch off a Netflix film type thing.
Yeah.
What do you think of that in Netflix? Because there's categories you can specifically say, I want this kind of film, I want that kind of film. We've talked about sex education, which is quite diverse, I'd say. Very
Relatively.
liberal. So what do you think? How do you feel about that when Netflix is clearly doing better than Hollywood?
They're doing it because it gets views, right? I feel like they're not doing this for we're all holding hands, yay, hands around the world, guys. They're doing this because it's making them money. They're not doing this because they love everyone. They're doing it because having gay characters, having characters in wheelchairs, this is basically sex education, but also having blind characters, in other films that they've done. This is not them including people. This is them trying to branch out to a wider market to make more money.
But I think different people can do it in different ways. Like Netflix,
Yeah.
I think sex education is another example. I think they do it well. I've seen things when it is literally, here is the gay one, here is, and it's like,
Tokenism, yeah.
and it's just like, we don't need to have it, directed to us. We can see this ourselves. Whereas I think something like sex education, other things I've seen on Netflix, do it well.
Do they though? I don't know
Whereas
if they do. I think I think they do it very blatantly, and they're doing it on purpose and saying, here is the thing, this is what it's about, we're doing this because it's inclusive, but it's not really because we want to make a lot of money. And a lot of our viewers
Compared
are also,
to other things I've seen, I'd say the things I've watched on Netflix do it well.
So how do we know what's the difference then? How do we know if they're doing it to be inclusive? And how do we know
if it's
if it's-
independent normally.
covered up tokenism? Independent.
Normally independent films will do, even if it's, because the thing is, if it's a subsidiary of Netflix, it's already had to be approved by Netflix. If they're working for Netflix to be put on Netflix, unless it's already been made, then Netflix are producing it in every aspect. They know exactly what they're doing. They've got a massive team of writers that come in and reread over scripts and change them if they need to in certain ways, to be more friendly to, whatever, but they're doing it on purpose. That's fine. They're allowed to do that, because it makes sense from a business point of view, but is it particularly inclusive? I don't know, I guess so, but there you go. That's just my opinion. Feel free to shoot me down. I'm very happy to sit here and be shot down. I like being shot. Go on then. So that was my point anyway. Do you think I'm like totally wrong? Because your guys' face, all three of you looked at me and you were like,
from the things I've seen on Netflix, I think they do it well, because I've seen things that are much worse, and they are always tokened. Like even in the most recent Star Wars, I love Star Wars so much, but that random lesbian kiss that lasts for about 4 seconds, it was just like, that was so, we've done it, guys, but it was just like, have you though?
Was it needed?
It was like, have you though? 4 seconds, if that.
I feel like as long as it's not obvious tokenism like that, like what you just described, the audience that it's reaching to, specifically if they're younger, they, at the end of the day, are being represented, and they are seeing themselves or some aspect of themselves in mainstream media. Does it matter that the people who are at the top currently that are deciding all these things are doing it for money, if it means that the younger generations who will eventually get to the top are being represented and may do it for different reasons simply because to them it's the norm to be diverse?
Well, a lot of the people still in the industry are older, right?
Yeah, but they're not gonna live forever. They're gonna die, and then we're gonna replace them.
Yeah, eventually. But until that point when you've been in the industry for 30 years, you're finally the top of a company, you're controlling creative aspects. Do you not think you'd become jaded and old by that point, and now you're out of touch?
Yeah, but is that not the nature of? Almost called it natural selection. Then it's not natural selection.
Nature of the beast is what you might be looking for.
Yeah, that's just the nature of it. Like, we're sitting here saying, well, this is great, it's tokenism, but that might not be too bad, and like, give this 50 years, this might age really badly.
Yeah, probably will, actually.
Yeah,
most likely it will.
Let's hope it does, because if it doesn't, that means that we've stayed in the same place.
Yeah, well, it's good because I guess Netflix can push things out much quicker, and they can release things a lot faster, and maybe that is why they've managed to change so much.
I think as long as they get a good reaction from an audience that it's meant to be for at that time, it doesn't matter what happens in the future.
Yeah.
That's
As long
interesting.
as they're keeping people happy now,
Yeah.
Don't matter.
Really?
Because we can have bad reactions to films that are like 50, 60 years old. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter because they're not necessarily for us. Fair enough if we enjoy it, but it wasn't tailored to us at the time.
That's interesting, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, are you guys happy with the stuff Netflix is shoving out? I mean, I know Aidan said that, yes, he likes, you think that, sex education stuff.
Mm.
Very good. Thumbs
It
up,
is.
yes? Yeah. So,
I'm
why
on
though?
the fence about it. That's why I'm asking for multiple opinions.
Why is it good, though?
I just think it's of a better quality and it's more... The second series of Sex Education wasn't great, admittedly. The first series, it's just one of the best things I've seen series-wise for a long time. And I think TV... I think the question of Netflix versus cinema shouldn't really be Netflix versus TV, because I think Netflix will kill TV,
Thank God.
but I don't think it will kill
Really?
cinema.
I'd rather pay for something than watch, 30 minutes of adverts.
Mm.
I hate it. I can't stand sitting down and having to watch. Like, every time I turn on the telly, I'm like, God, is there this many adverts every time?
You forget, don't you? 'Cause
I forget,
We
yeah.
don't
I
have a
think
telly in our flat.
I'm just used to it.
And you just kind of forget, like...
Oh, yeah, TV has
It's-
adverts because I'm not
yeah.
paying for this. Haha.
TV
I'd ra-
license.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you three, well, four including Jules, but I can't remember the last time I actually watched something on TV.
Yeah, me neither.
No,
Love
I
Island? No one watches Love Island?
I
Apart
watch
from
it
Love
regularly.
Island.
There you
Apart
go.
from Love Island.
Yeah,
because
okay.
I definitely do not follow Coronation Street religiously.
Jesus Christ.
I've never seen Coronation Street or EastEnders or
No, I haven't.
anything of the sort.
Absolutely not.
That's probably just my upbringing.
They are
though.
very
I used to watch Neighbours when I was 10.
Neighbours.
become good.
Acquaintances.
copyrighted
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Other soaps are available.
I mean, so you follow Coronation Street because
It's entertaining.
you've always
Why?
watched it, kind of thing.
No, I only started watching it a couple of years ago.
Ah, there you go. See,
You a
it's still
60-year-old woman.
Yes. No, I started watching it when there was a serial killer on the street, and I was like, this is exciting. And now I watch
Right.
it because I really like the dialogue on it. You
Yeah,
get some good
if you wanna-
banterous lines
Is
on
that
there.
why
Okay.
your dialogue's so good as a scriptwriter?
Potentially. Yes, I am a great scriptwriter.
No, I mean that genuinely because Aidan
people
wrote
have
the
said-
script for our
people
film.
people have said to me before,
You
that-
write good dialogue.
I do write good dialogue, and a lot of it comes from Coronation Street, but watching stuff like that with a heavy dialogue focus, I do think helps.
Just
Oh.
watching,
That makes
watching an
sense.
episode of Corrie, it's probably just ripped off from that. Whatever. I'm
Yeah,
joking.
you read one of my
Joking.
scripts one day and just be like,
joking.
why is Steve in this? Why is Gail in this? I was really struggling to think of
I don't
characters
know who
then.
those people are.
Well, I think Coronation Street, EastEnders, all of these shows are massively important in terms of television history and British history as well. These are shows that they have pioneered like a generation of TV shows that have lasted
Isn't
50,
Coronation Street the
60
longest
years.
running TV drama?
I think it might
be
TV drama of all
EastEnders.
time. No, EastEnders started in the 80s.
Oh, Coronation Street.
Coronation Street started in
Big up
1960.
Manchester. Yeah.
I think it started about 1962-ish.
Apparently Corrie was released in 1960.
1960, I was 2
Yeah.
years out.
1960.
I always think it's
damn.
the year before Doctor Who, but evidently not.
So Doctor Who came 1963.
3.
Damn.
23rd of November.
Doctor Who, there you go, another classic British show that's proper, I mean,
Never seen it.
okay. Do you watch Doctor Who?
Yes, it's...
This is
I
another
used
thing about
to.
If
telly.
you
Never
cut me
never watched
open,
it.
I will bleed Doctor Who.
Have you? I assume you've been watching the latest series.
Yes.
I have not watched the latest series, so no spoilers. But I know that
Oh,
I've
there's
been
so
reading
many
a lot of things online about it that people are saying they are doing this tokenism thing classically, and it's the same with Netflix. Netflix doing it with sex education. Is Doctor Who doing that? Are they doing
Right.
it? Are they doing
I'm
it
going to have to be
badly?
very careful here because
Talk about the last
Doctor
series.
Who
Talk
is
about
one
the
of my
series before.
ultimate career goals.
Oh,
to
yeah,
work
same.
on it in some way. So Chibnall, hit me up. But there are last series and this series especially have had a lot of complaints that it's political messages rammed down your throat. And I know people that are just like, I don't need these lectures every single week.
Mhm.
There was an episode this series which was a decent episode, but the ending was literally the Doctor turning essentially into the barrel of the camera and saying, climate change is bad, kids. And it was sort of like watching it going, I know. I know. We don't need this 10-minute lecture of humans need to change because otherwise you're going to get an Earth that looks like that.
I don't know if you guys know any other shows that are sort of doing like what's that word you said before?
Tokenism.
Tokenism.
yeah, I feel like it's a very Western thing to be able to pick out tokenism and to be able to say, well, this is not how this is supposed to be represented and have like an opinion on it. Whereas I know that a lot of my Turkish family who have seen films and like they watch shows that have, to me, very clear tokenism that's problematic, and they just don't care because it's not really something they think about. But I don't know if that's a matter of age or if it's a matter of audience in terms of geography, or if it's a matter of audience in terms of being active and being passive.
Yeah.
Could be because our generation of people watch these things going, where is the representation? So if you
Yeah.
see it done badly, you're like, oh, that's
true.
it's representation, but not the one I wanted.
That's true.
So, I know you say, you know, I mean, you obviously want a bright career future in.
That's cheesy, though, isn't it?
In the film industry, though, right? You all want to go into that in some aspect, you know, whether it's teaching or, you know, as a director or as
A writer.
a writer. Yes, I was going to say that.
It'll be fine on the audio version, just on video.
Yeah. Also, if you want to talk to any third years, they are doing films at the moment. Sorry, I'm talking to the camera, guys.
I wonder what you were doing.
There are third
thought
years at
we're
the
over
moment
here.
who are looking for either money or help. If anyone wants to get involved in any of those things, I know Chesdon Mills is currently looking for some people potentially, or
I'll
maybe
follow him on
some
Instagram.
money. Yeah, talk to Ches. The Man at Arms film, they're looking for people. I'm sure there's loads more.
How do we get in contact?
How do you get in
these
contact
people?
with them? Well, you can talk to either lecturers or you can talk to some third years or second years, because they know third years as well. And just get involved as best you can. I know maybe speak to, you know, Alex Lichtenfeld's, and he can help you along with that. But definitely, if you want to go get involved in some third year films, they are looking for people at the moment, you know, to help out with bits and bobs. So, yeah, get involved. Oh, yeah, and hashtag follow the Instagram, guys.
What, UOS underscore film production?
always gonna
UOS
come up here.
film production. Wait,
Underscore film production.
Underscore film production. I actually follow it, so...
So yeah.
I do as well.
So do I.
UOS underscore film production. It's run by the beautiful Aarif, and he constantly gives us nice content to look at, and get involved with that as well as the best you can. You know, post your film photos, behind the scenes, or if you're on film studies, I don't know.
Not
Talk
much we can do.
Just message him and say, I want more stuff about film theory. And he'll go,
That'd be
no
sick.
problem. And he'll put some stuff on there. He'll do something for you. Apart from that, yeah, thank you guys. It's been very interesting. I've been told by Jules we need an overall comment from everyone. So go, overall comment, bam.
Overall comment about what film or the podcast?
Just
That's what we've
anything,
been
anything,
discussing.
whatever you want.
Let me try and
It was
think of
really
something.
I really like this platform to be able to speak to other people about things that I would usually not have other people to talk to, because I don't really bring up that kind of thing with my course mates, just because we're so wrapped up in like doing literal work that it's nice to have somewhere to debate about it and be shot down.
Yeah,
That's a
definitely.
good point.
Yeah.
I mean, my flatmate actually does film production, and I don't talk to him about this sort of stuff. Like, we get into debates, but not anything to do with industry stuff or what we talked about today. So it's nice to talk to people who's got similar views and won't say, "Oh, shut up, I don't care." Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's nice to get it off. Yeah, and Aidan?
No, I've been glad I've been on the podcast, really, just talking about, you know...
Get that as your thing.
You can brag now.
Oh, I don't know what to say.
We got clout.
Climate change.
Climate change, Doctor Who, Coronation Street, these are the important topics that we must be discussing.
And Disney.
And Disney, who we all love dearly. Netflix is interesting for TV and for raising awareness for films that you wouldn't necessarily watch in the cinema, but cinema is not going anywhere
Thank God.
anytime soon.
Thank God.
Because we love having popcorn and watching films. We get scared and we throw popcorn in the air, or we have reclining seats and we nearly nod off because they're so comfortable.
Nice.
But then the film's so exciting, you're back in it again.
That
There you
surround
go.
sound really
That
brings
is
you
my-
back
Drags
in.
you
That
in.
is my TripAdvisor review of cinemas.
5 stars.
So, yeah, if you want to listen to the podcast, it's on Anchor FM. If not, you can go onto YouTube and type in Film Production Podcast, and I'm pretty sure it'll come up at some point.
Spotify too.
Is it on
Spotify.
That's where I
look,
listen.
Anchor
Oh, look
FM
on Spotify.
puts it everywhere, so it should on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Music.
All the places podcasts are
Why have
available.
you shriveled
Norm-
into an old woman?
Because I can't remember, to be honest. My brain's having a problem.
Shriveling away.
If everyone, yeah, so
SoundCloud.
Anchor FM is a good place to go, but Anchor FM posts it everywhere. So you
Yes.
should be able to get it from all your major platforms. Go listen, go enjoy, tell your friends, tell your mum, tell your dog, get them all listening, and then we've got more listeners. Great.
And
Everyone
follow the
wins.
Instagram.
And follow the Instagram. Don't forget, thank you.
Jingle.